wabarakatuh. My name is Kanok from Jessore, Bangladesh. I am a student in SSC. In this age, opposite gender attraction is a common thing. Often my classmates ask me how to stop opposite attraction. What should I tell them? Please answer it. The brother from Bangladesh has asked a very important question, that in this young age, opposite gender attraction is very common. How can you stop it? Number one, that if opposite sex attraction, if it's done within the purview of the Islamic Sharia, in what is halal, it is permitted and it is good. Between mother and son, between father and daughter, between brother and sisters. So if it's done between the mahram, it is good. And if done between husband and wife, and this is how Allah says in the Quran in Surah Rum, chapter number 30, verse number 21, He has put love and mercy between the hearts of the men and women. But if it is done with nahmaram, opposite genders, it is haram. And I agree that your question is mainly based on that attraction of the opposite sex with the nahmaram is common. How can you avoid it? There are various guidelines given in the glorious Quran and in the Hadith regarding this topic. If you read the Quran, before speaking about the hijab for the woman, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first speaks about the hijab for the man. Allah says in the Quran in Surah Nur, chapter number 24, verse number 30, say to the believing man that he should lower his gaze and guard his modesty. That means whenever a man looks at any woman, and if any unashamed thought comes in his mind, he should lower his gaze. There was a Muslim boy who was staring at a girl for a long time. So I told him, brother, what are you doing? It's not permitted in Islam. He told me, our beloved Prophet Muhammad said that the first glance is permitted, the second is prohibited. I have not completed half my glance. What did the Prophet mean when he said the first glance is permitted, the second is prohibited? That does not mean you can look at a woman for 30 seconds and for 2 minutes without blinking and saying that I have not completed my glance. What the Prophet meant is that if you accidentally look at a woman, don't look at her again. This is prohibited. That doesn't mean you can stare at a woman for a long time and say, I have not completed my glance. Therefore, staring at a woman or looking at a woman directly while speaking, etc., it is prohibited in Islam if it's a nahmaram. The next verse speaks about the hijab for the woman. In Surah Nur, chapter number 24, verse number 31, it says, say to the believing woman that she should lower her gaze and guard her modesty, and display not her beauty except what appears ordinarily of, and draw her head covering, her veil, over her bosoms, over her chest, and display not her beauty except in front of her father, her husband, her son, and a big list of mahram, the close relatives who she can't marry is given. These two verses mainly talk about the hijab, and Allah also says in Surah Ahzab, chapter 33, verse number 59, that, O Prophet, tell your wives and your daughters and the believing women that when they go abroad, they should put on the cloak, they should put on the jilbab, the outer garment, so that they shall be recognized and it will prevent them from being molested. These verses of the Quran, as well as several ahadith, you come to know that there are basically 6 criteria for hijab. The first is the extent. For the man, it's from the navel to the knee. For the woman, her complete body should be covered. The only part that can be seen are the face and the hands up to the wrist. There are many scholars who say even the face should be covered. But this is the extent. The remaining 5 criteria are the same for the man and the woman. The second is the clothes they wear, it should not be tight fitting so that the figure can be revealed. The third, the clothes they wear should not be transparent or translucent so that you can see through. The fourth, the clothes they wear should not be so glamorous so that it attracts the opposite sex. The fifth, it should not resemble that of the opposite sex. And sixth, it should not resemble that of the unbeliever. You can't wear a tika, a vermilion, or can't wear a cross. It's a sign of Hinduism or it's a sign of Christianity. So these are basically the 6 criteria of hijab, but this is only talking about the physical hijab and doesn't constitute the complete hijab. The complete hijab also includes the way a person thinks, the way a person talks, the way a person walks, the way a person behaves. All this put together is the complete hijab. And there are various hadith which give guidelines to us. The hadith of Jami Tirmidhi, point number 2, hadith number 1171, in which our beloved Prophet Muhammad said that if 2 nahmaram are alone in a closed room, the third person is the Satan. That means you cannot be alone with a nahmaram, opposite sex, in a closed room. It is prohibited. There are other hadith in which the Prophet said, if a person touches a nahmaram, that part will burn in hell. There are various hadith. All these are guidelines. So I do agree with you that there are high possibilities that they can be opposite sex, gender attraction, which is illegal with a nahmaram. So number 1 precaution you should take is you should avoid intermingling with the opposite sex nahmaram. Generally avoid. It is very common in the Western culture, in the Western countries. It's also come in the Eastern countries and become common. Intermingling, mixing, higgling, hangling, and enjoying together without any hijab is very common. Number 1, that should be avoided. Secondly, even if you have to speak for any particular reason, see to it when a man speaks to a nahmaram woman or a woman speaks to a nahmaram man, they should not look directly at the face in the eyes and speak. They should lower the gaze and speak. It's very common that if you're speaking to a colleague in your school or a college or at your workplace, you talk looking at each other. This is un-Islam. You should lower your gaze. When you go to a shop and you want to buy, when the females go to buy and they speak to the shopkeeper, they look into the eye, they bargain, looking, arguing, etc., asking for things, they should lower their gaze. This is not permitted in Islam. So when you talk, if you have to talk, best is avoid talking. When required, if there is a reason where you may have to interact, you can interact, but if it is one-to-one, it's with lowering your gaze. Avoiding is the best. When you meet your colleague, if you have to anytime, see to it you don't shake hands with opposite sex. It's common in the Western world. It's even come to the Eastern part of the world that when the colleagues meet each other or when the college mates or the school mates, when they meet, they shake hands. In some places, they even kiss each other, the nahmaram, which is totally haram. So all these things should be avoided. The best, if you avoid intermingling, this thing will not arise. That is the reason if you study, see to it, you study in a single sex school. So if you go to a school, see to it, you educate yourself, or see to it, you send your children in a single sex school. And there have been various surveys done in different parts of the world, including in UK, where there was a survey done, that the performance of the students in a single sex school is far better than a co-ed school. Similarly, if you educate yourself in a college or university, see to it that you go to a single sex college or university. Or if you're going to a professional college or if you're going to a medical college, go to a single sex medical college. If there is no option at all, and if you have to go to a professional college, you want to become a medical doctor, and in your city or in your country there is no single sex medical college, and if it's co-ed, and this situation as a last resort, if you educate yourself, see to it that you're careful, you don't unnecessarily intermingle. If you have to interact, see to it that you lower your gaze, see to it that you don't shake hands with the opposite sex, you don't laugh and joke around. If required, speak with a voice which is a normal voice, not too much compassionate. Normally when colleagues speak with each other, they speak, oh, how are you? Where were you during the weekend? Or did you go for the movie? You talk things which are unnecessary. So if you have to interact, see to it interact things which are only important and a must. Don't be too compassionate in your voice when you're speaking to the opposite sex. That you can do with the same sex, no problem. So if you take all these precautions, say to it that you wear a proper hijab. If you are a Muslim, if you're a Muslimah, a Muslim woman, see to it you're in proper hijab. And if you take all these precautions, avoid intermingling, inshallah, there will not be unnecessary opposite sex attraction. And one golden rule, that see to it that you get married at a young age. Our beloved Prophet Muhammad said, it is mentioned in Sahih Bukhari, that the Prophet said, "O young people, whoever has the means to get married should get married." So marrying at a younger age is mustahab. It is sunnah. It is preferable. So the earlier you get married, for the women, for the girls, I say, okay, maybe 18, 19. If you finish your graduation, you finish your graduation normally at the age of 20, 21. Okay, after that, no problem. For the boys, 21, 23 years, as soon as possible. And if you get married early, then inshallah, this fitna would not be, and you can avoid this fitna. But even after marriage, you have to follow the hijab. So you follow all these criteria mentioned in the Quran and the Hadith, that inshallah, you will not indulge in things which are haram, and you'll see to it that you will follow the things which are permitted, and you'll enjoy life better. In the Western world, which talks about intermingling of sexes, it's common. It's very common that in a university, according to statistics of the Western countries like US, etc., 99% of the females, by the time they pass university, they have lost their virginity. That is the same in the other parts of the world, in the Western world. So, because they do not take care of the hijab and there is excessive intermingling, this is very common. In UK, more than 50% of the women giving birth to children, they are unwed women. So, here we have to realize that if we take care and follow the teachings of the Quran and the Sahih Hadith, inshallah we'll be secured and we will keep ourselves away from the fitna. Hope that answers the question.